Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Bastards post-game show. I'm Nick. We have Terry also here tonight to discuss today's disaster in Oakland. A Brayan Bello starts turns into tears for a Red Sox nation. Bello was completely shelled today, giving up 6 earned runs, 3 home runs, giving up to the lonely Oakland Athletics. The Red Sox lose 2 of 3 and now come crying back home to Boston to play the New York Mets. I want to welcome Terry in. Terry, how are you doing on this fine evening?
Well, I said today was an automatic win for the Red Sox, and look what I did.
We look like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I mean, Waldachuk, not a good pitcher, and I mean, Bayo had been so hot. There was no reason to suggest this lineup was gonna, take him over the fence 3 times.
So right now, I mean, we're all speechless here on what went down with Bello because this was Bello's worst start of the season. Came at one of the worst opportunity times when the Red Sox really needed to take this game here for the final game of the series. Couple big stats that come screaming out at you. The splits for Bello, day versus night, are very telling and very interesting. Let me read them to you. In day starts, he's had 5 of them this season. He is 0-2 with a 7.32 ERA. Nighttime, he is 7-3 with a 2.39 ERA. Is he just allergic to the sun? Like the heck? That's just very, very eye-opening to me.
He's Corey Kluber in the day, Jake DeGrom at night.
Jekyll and Hyde.
That's the pattern I'm seeing here. And all 3 home runs today were 2-run shots. You had that JJ Bleday kid who has been hitting us pretty well. Even in the series we swept them, he had some key moments. Cody Thomas, not familiar with him. That was his first major league home run. And who hit the other one? It escapes me. Doesn't matter. What wasn't a good day from Bello, and I don't think there's a lot to worry about, even with the day and night stats. He's developing. You're going to have a blip. Sucks that it was against Oakland. This would have been an easy win to bank. You have a couple of potentially tough matchups with the Mets coming up, and
Yep.
it's only going to get harder the rest of the month. So, the thing that's got me fired up is Cotillo wrote an article earlier.
I saw it. I'm glad you're mentioning it.
That perhaps Bloom might sell off some guys, kind of like he did last year, kind of like a half-ass sell-off. And, a couple of names he mentioned was Justin Turner, Chris Martin. And he tried to make the case that you could still make the playoffs, but you don't make the playoffs dealing those 2 guys. I know you're getting Story back, so the Bluminati will be quick to point out, well, those guys kind of offset and you can, ride the upward momentum potentially. You really can't. And this bullpen, yeah, you're getting Schreiber back, but Chris Martin's been the most consistent guy we have,
Better than Jansen. In my opinion, he's been much better than Jansen. More consistent.
His ERA, I think, is still sub 2. But the thing that pissed me off was Cotillo said, perhaps that's what Bloom's wanted all along. I'm like, when is winning ever going to be a priority under this guy? And they can boast about the farm. You got Meyer, you got York, you got that Blyce kid. You still have Rafaela, who's having a pretty decent year in the minors. But where's the pitching? You can't draft them, you can't develop them, and you can't sign them in free agency. That is the Achilles heel. You started Joe Jakes last night.
Yep.
How'd that work out?
He punted on that game, and that was a game. And it basically yesterday, if you look at it, that was the game that they wanted to throw away because you didn't have a real starter. You just kind of threw it out to the bullpen. Today was the game that you needed to take, and you are left now scratching your head saying, how the heck did we lose 2 or 3 from the Oakland A's? Mentally, weren't in it, weren't prepared, let an inferior team beat them, and now it's a long flight back to Boston where you play a Mets team that also has had a pretty crappy season. Team that had so much promise, so much potential, so many big signings that happened, and it just hasn't been put together for the Mets, at least right now. We don't know if they go on a run or something and they end up getting themselves in contention of some sorts. But now you go back to Fenway and you have to face on Friday night Senga. I think it's Kode Senda, the name. And there's a guy who's 7-5, got a 3.2 ERA. You also are going to have Max Scherzer, a part of this weekend fling here with the Mets. I'm feeling not as good as I was after that Nick Pivetta amazing relief appearance on Monday night. And I think that's how a lot of fans are probably feeling at this point. Still a big question mark on what's going to happen moving forward with this team.
I'm just pulling up the matchups real quick. I just want to see when Pivetta might pitch again. So it's not looking like he'll pitch until probably Sunday in the first TBD game. Provided that Paxton and Cutter both go 5 innings. I suspect they will in those first 2 games. So we'll see. Maybe Pivetta gets dealt at the deadline as well. It's just what a
sell high on him.
You're 5 games above, but man, it's just painful right now.
It's not any better for the New York Yankees either. They're playing the Angels across town for the Los Angeles Angels. They're all in California right now. They're not having any better of a time right now against the Angels. So it's a battle of the crapshoot right now. It's a matter of who's going to overtake whom here. Will the Blue Jays continue to be kind of middler? I know the Orioles have been kind of a mixed bag lately, and the Rays have not been winning as consistently as they have been, at least during the beginning of the season. So I want to say keep the faith. I want to say we're going to be okay. But then you go and play the A's and you can't even beat them. The other stat I wanted to throw at you too before we wrap up here for tonight, against 500 teams or better, the Red Sox are 31-25. Against teams that are 500 or below, the Red Sox now are 20-21. Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, they're simply playing to the level of their opponents. When it's a good team, they show up, they're amped up, they're ready to play. The only 2 exceptions to that is Tampa and Baltimore. The Red Sox have been terrible against them, but everyone else, I mean, they won that Rangers series. That was nice. 7-0 against the Blue Jays, who still, regardless, continue to hold 3rd place in the American League East. So we show up against them, and they've got a tough rotation. And and then when the bad teams come, they're lazy, they're sloppy, their defense isn't good. I mean, the Red Sox put up 5 today against Oakland, so you can't say the offense was completely flat. Last night they put up nothing.
And the A's had 4. The A's had 4 errors tonight. So the A's were giving this game to you. They were giving it to you. And the Red Sox blew that opportunity right away. Slip sliding away.
Yeah, it is what it is.
We got James Paxton on the hill for Friday up against Senga. Who do you got for Friday night?
I'm going to take the Mets. I mean, it would be fair to say that James Paxton, gets it back together and, doesn't have any, single inning meltdowns. But I'm going with Senga and his ghost fork.
I want to go with a resurgence in a way for James Paxton. He was crap, complete crap against the Cubs last time. I'm going to hope the mental toughness gets into him, that he fixed his command, he locates the ball better. Let's get back on the winning track here against the Mets team, who has just been nothing but pure disappointment this season. So that's where I'm at for at least Friday night. I'll stay optimistic, at least for right now, and hopefully little home cooking does the Red Sox some good. That is going to do it for Nick and Terry here tonight for the post game show. We hope everybody has a great rest of their night. We will see you soon. Have a good night.